when we are subjected to applied forces, our body needs to become more compliant for that. We need to have more ability to move freely, quickly, and suddenly if needed. Otherwise, we overgenerate less compliance because we stiffen up. And the regulatory function of compliance, as I showed you with that liver article, is the diaphragm. And so when these COVID patients, COVID patients go into these situations where they need to be put on a ventilator, they usually put them in a prone position because of a compliance issue. And I thought it was a great thing that we picked this topic in this time we're in, because this article that came out, I think it was basically out last week, April 14th it came out. Such a simple thing to do. You can all Google this or type it in. The title is Such a Simple Thing to Do: Why Positioning COVID-19 Patients on Their Stomachs Can Save Lives. Probably, Jan, you and I have gotten so many people asking us, how does PRI feel about stomachs and prone position when it comes to breathing? And we're going to show you some of our favorite techniques today that are prone positional breathing. And before we get into that, we have to be mindful of the reason why they're doing this thing. Why are people that are somewhere in this mediocre zone, they're not on ventilators? Because if you're on a ventilator, you're on your back, which makes it harder for them to get up moving around and perfusing, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But these ventilator patients typically stay on their stomach about 16 hours a day, going on their back for the rest of the time for the ventilation. Some of these people, they put on their stomach to enhance the perfusion that that patient needs with gas exchange. Critical care specialists say being on their belly seems to help because it allows oxygen to more easily get to their lungs. While on their back, the weight of their body, in effect, squishes some of those sections of those lungs. I thought that was very well written. We're now talking about compliance issue. Half your body is too stiff, Jen, and the other half of your body is too loose. That's a compliance issue. And instead of having uniform compliance, it's segmental. I was telling somebody, Jen, I wrote somebody an email a week or two ago about where I started my life. We put people that were needing iron lung machines, or people that had, paralyzed diaphragms, or people that were going through periods of times where they couldn't breathe. We would do chest percussion. Our profession of physical therapy really started with drainage, with venous drainage, lung drainage. And we put people on their side to drain some aspect of their body, some aspect of their lung. And when I say body, I mean not just the lung, but a lot of people we put on their tummies because we want those posterior mediastinums, those lateral posterior aspects of their lung, to what? Drain, so they can perfuse. And to this day, we are still doing that in PRI. We put people on their side, and almost all of our techniques are draining something because of both side lying, and yes, supine, and yes, sitting, and yes, standing activities for these kinds of principles, compliance.